Hey guys, thanks so much for joining this video. This is going to be a fun one. I currently have a little small limited edition kit in my shop. I'll pop a picture of it up on the screen here in just a minute, but it's to make these beautiful bracelets. One kit will be enough to make 2 bracelets. I do provide the patterns, and this video is instruction for how to make each one. There is also an additional bonus pattern that's provided just in case you don't want to do the odd count design, because one of these is odd count peyote, and I know that gets a little tricky. Some folks don't enjoy doing odd counts, so I myself among them many times get lazy about odd counts. So there's an even count pattern if you prefer, and I'll show that here coming up. But this is the even count one right here. So even count has this cool little like southwesty pattern happening. And then this one is the odd count. And each of them has a gorgeous button that comes from Unicorne beads. The kit has an additional button. It has one extra small button. So you'll basically have all 3 of these, and then you'll have the beads. And so I'm going to switch to my mat and show you, after making all of these, how many beads I have left. And then I'm going to show you a little few more details about the project, and we'll get started. So here they are. Here's their gorgeousnesses. And both of these bracelets are so neat. They're so fun. Still have an extra button. Still have all these beads left. It does consume fastest the jet color. So you see I've got not a whole lot of that left. It really consumed a lot of those, particularly this one consumed a lot of the jet because it uses a lot of it. It's a very wide band. So you can always switch the colors up, but what I would probably do to use up my last button, what I plan to do actually, is to just make a beautiful stripe or diagonal, probably either that or chevron, maybe just a pattern that uses these others together, because they're by themselves also going to be quite beautiful even without the black. And so for each of these colors, I should have quite a lot left. You know what? At least half a tube. Let me look at the back and see. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of this one. This one's coming up to like right about here. So that's more than half of the orange. Blue, more than half. It's coming up to right about there. Same here, roughly. Yeah, so a lot. These tubes go a long way. I was very, very pleasantly surprised to see that I could get that much beadwork out of just these tubes. It's just this color is going to run out first. Now in my shop, I have Picasso black. I currently don't have jet by itself. I need to order more, and maybe I'll get that done this week if I can, or next week, more likely. But let me show you really quick. I have it in front of me. I do have jet black in the shop. Here it is. Ignore the container. The container is just because I have them in, bulky bags. But in the shop, I have these in these tubes, which is the 7.2 gram tubes. So there's what Picasso looks like next to jet. I feel like that would actually be really cool. It would complement the button because the button has so much happening here. I mean, sometimes when I look at these buttons, I see spots of topaz too, which I have a topaz color in the shop currently. Topaz and bronze. Let me see if I can find my topaz. Not 100% super organized these days, but is this it? Yeah, here we go. So even that. Now you're earth toning these for fall if you add this color. So this is currently in my store. This one is called Amber, transparent amber. Not all the buttons have amber in them, but just looking at this one, you can kind of see that beautiful. So much going on here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, loving it. But the kit itself, you will get all of these colors, and actually I can pop a picture of the kit up on the screen really quick. So here's the kit. And it's really, really nice. It's got all of these beautiful things, and it also comes with some leather. Let me show you the leather that it comes with. A few more photos I can bring you through here. But it's going to come with about 25, 26 inches of leather and 3 buttons. 2 of the buttons are small. They're about the size of a dime. The other button is a bit larger. It's more the size of a quarter. So that is the kit in a nutshell. And these beautiful bracelets, how they're constructed, I'm going to go through that right now with you in this video. And then the patterns, you can download them at daniellewickesjewelry.com. The patterns are available on the blog post, and there's 3 of them. These 2 that you see here, and an additional even count that would take the place of this one, just to kind of save you doing odd count if you didn't feel like doing odd count. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create these little attachments, which are really versatile for attaching your button. I'm showing an overhand knot for leather as well as a barrel knot, which I humbly struggled through and got right the second time I tried. And then the button attachments are the same between the 2, just a little bit different placement. All right, let's get going. All right, so what you want to do is start by laying out your beads in order as they appear on your pattern. And so I have provided actually 3 patterns, and there's the one that is odd count, which I'll show this in just a minute, the starting of it, and then we'll use this one to show finishing. But I wanted to also point out that there's 2 even count patterns in case that's preferable. And I have not tested yet to see if the tubes in this kit can do all 3 patterns, but I just wanted to give you options in the way of patterns in case you really like one or the other more, you can select. I just got a little carried away with designing when I was working with this palette. So, and if you love it, these colors, we can always get more in, that sort of thing. I have some of these are new to my shop as far as like being offered in the individual tubes, but I'm thinking of adding each of these because they're really very nice. So the pattern I have for the even count is this one. This is 14 beads wide, even count. And when I say beads wide, I mean the column count here. So this one is going to be pretty bold, and it will be really nice for this button. Now, the one that I have here, the odd count again, that one's really nice with the smaller buttons, but it could also work with the big button. So there's the small one next to it. The big one's not bad either, see? But definitely on that wider one. This is 11 beads wide, so you can imagine 14 being just a little bit above that. Now here's one that's 12, so just a smidge smaller, but also very, very nice. Get it done a little quicker because it's only the 12 beads wide. And you see that here, 71 rows. And it finishes at a length of about 6.4 inches. Its width is 0.8 inches. And the cool thing about this is that we're going to add length by doing the leather. So you can add a safe inch to that, and even more if you want to make it adjustable without having to really add a lot of beads to your design. So there's all those options. I was thinking I'll do the statement one. So I have a sample to show you that uses both the small and the big button. And then if you want to work that other even count one instead of this one, or instead of the odd count one, I believe there will be enough beads in this kit to make at least 2 of these bracelets. And then you could always make a little thin stripy band to use up that 3rd button, or, use that 3rd button in another project. I just wanted to give you, because these come in pairs. You could also make earrings. There's so many cute things. I had thought about doing a diamond brick stitch with this as the earring. Like you could put this on the center of a little diamond brick stitch. I might still do that because that's such a cute idea. But I wanted to give you options. So there's all of that. I have these currently laid out in order as they appear on this pattern. So here's how to start an even count design. So this video is going to serve as intro to even count peyote as well as odd count. So diving in, you have in your patterns, typically you'll have a bead chart. They look different depending on the type of program. This one I did in Bead Tool 4. I did this other one in Loomerly, which is a really cool program too. So whichever one you like. I'm going to probably start creating patterns interchangeably using both of those programs because there's things I like about both of them. But if you're looking to make your own, that's what I'm using. So you can always follow along with a Post-it on a graphic chart. But I've gotten into the habit of using the word charts. So word charts might look a little different depending on which program you're using to create your peyote stitch, or which program your person who you bought a pattern from is using. So here's a bead tool, for example, and it's showing you rows 1 and 2, 14A. That's the first thing you're going to string. And that basically represents this row here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you'll string those. When you work back through that, so actually it's strung in this direction, forgive me. And then when you pick up the next bead and you go back through the first bead, pick up another bead, go back through this, skip a bead, go through the next one, and so on. I'll be showing you how to do that, but essentially that's how those first rows are created. And if you're walking it through on the word chart, you're simply going to pick up 14 beads. And then you'll individually pick up one A, skip an A, go through the next A, and so on till you reach the end of the row. So let's do that. Here's our 14. That's 10, 13, and 14. So 14 color A. And again, we got the legend tells us which one is color A and so on. It might be different depending on what pattern you pick up. So just pay attention to that. And most of them, I believe, jet is the color A, but it switches around with these colors between the three. So just, watch for that. And what we're going to do next is pick up another A, skip a bead, and then we're going to go through just the next bead here. So just like that, you're going to skip one, go through the next one, and pull your working and tail thread across. Oh, and in case I forgot to mention, the thread I'm using is a 6 pound. You can use Fireline, you can use Wildfire .06, you can use Eslon 6 pound. All of those are great options. Next bead, this is the next bead in row 3. I'm going to skip the next bead, and then we're going to go through the bead after that. And again, I like to just pull that working and tail thread apart. And I designed all these patterns to start the first 3 rows in all one color, so you don't have to worry about it spinning on you. If it does that, it's not going to mean that your pattern won't work out. So here we're going to skip the next bead, which is that one. We'll skip that one. We'll go through the next one. And if you're looking for a shorthand way to do this, just kind of a sped up way, you can pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through the next bead, and all in one swoop, just pull like that. Up and up and up. So we've done so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's bead number 6 of row 3. And here's bead number 7. And we'll go through the last bead on that part we strung. As far as a tail thread, for all of my patterns, try to leave a tail thread of about 10 inches, and we'll use that to secure our button. Now you get an idea of the width of this piece. It's really, really nice. We're going to start now looking at the word chart, working on row 4. And you can see rows 4 and 5 are all just going to be picking up 7 of the color A's. And we'll be picking this up one by one because this is single drop peyote. So we'll pick up one bead. And we're going to work that bead by going through the very first up bead. So you see on here, you've got the bead we're exiting, and then there's 2 sticking out. So we're going to go through the next up bead. I tend to work from left to right. You could always flip it in your hand and work the other way if you prefer. So pick up a bead, go through the next one. And you're just going to keep going like that. And sometimes your needle will try to go through 2 beads. Let's try to help it go through 1. You can always back it out of that other bead if you need to, but for the most part, if you just kind of angle it a little bit, you can get through 1 bead pretty easy. And these size 10 Delicas, they're really nice. They're really easy to work with. They're a little bit bigger than an 11.0 Delica, so they really do stitch up fast, and you get all that beauty of a Delica. It's a little bigger format for the eyes. All right, there's row 4. I'm going to zip through row 5. I'll pick this up. And you'll notice as we work each of these rows, now the way I'm holding it, it's kind of more like north-south rather than right or left. But on some of the patterns, you'll see L's and R's indicated on the word chart. They look like this. These little L's and R's. On a Loomerly pattern, they're arrows. Let me show you an example of a Loomerly pattern. This is not the pattern we're working. This is a pattern example. So see how it's showing the direction. It's showing the direction you string and then the direction each row is being worked in. And so if you translate that to left and right, you can see I'm working row 5 and I'm headed to the right. So row 5 is saying I'm headed to the right. So it'll either be an arrow or a left-right indicator. In the end, I ignore it, truthfully, because I'm working up and down because I tend to hold my work like this. So I lose my frame of reference for that left and right. And how to count your rows. Typically what you want to do is keep track on your pattern where you are, because after you get a lot of rows on, it's going to be really painful to count that many. You sit there and count, 50 rows or something. It'd be kind of difficult, but you can use reference points in your pattern, but really the easiest way is just mark your pattern. So you can take in, well, a couple of things. I've made some recent discoveries. Starting with word charts, the way I used to do it, my tried and true way, was I would just take a pencil and draw a little tiny dot next to the row I just finished. And then when I start working again, I'll come and erase that. So we'll always use a little pencil, get a nice eraser and erase it. And then I follow along with a magnetic ruler as I'm going. That's another way. But the Loomerly patterns that I've just discovered, it looks like I can send you an electronic file of that. And if you have that app, which is a free app you can download on, I believe, iPad, I think it can go on Macs too. Actually, yeah, it can. It can go on Mac. So based on that, I might be able to send you the electronic file and then you can follow along on your iPad. And that will keep track of where you are. You just click it either with your finger or if you have a stylus, just kind of click it as you go. Message me if you want that and I will send it to you. But you don't need it to do this pattern or to work with these beads. You can just use this nice word chart here, pencil or ruler, post-it note, all that. So we just finished row 5. I want to show you at least a couple rows with actual pattern to it. Here's row 6. We're going to do 3A, E, and then 3 more A. So here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. And then an E, A, B, C, D, and E. Just really pretty blue. And then finish that row with all A. Here's A, and A. Okay. And the next row, I know my next row is going to be row 7, but if I just didn't keep track between then and now, the way to figure that out is just count your sides. You've got 1, 2, and 3. And there's 4, 5, and 6. Some people count this way. They count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Either is a fine way to do it. But like I was saying, that gets really tedious after you have a lot of rows. So you kind of want to keep track of it on your word chart. If you're working with the graphic, just run a post-it down that graphic or a magnetic ruler. And once it slides, you'll lose your place. So make sure it's a sticky one of some kind, or put a paperweight on it, or just something like that. So we're going to start with 4A for this row. This is row 7. There's 1. And 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Then we'll have 1 more E. And then here's 1 and 2A. So that's how to work an even count pattern. You just keep going like that, and then meet me at the end, and I'll show you how to put the large button on this pattern. Now let's take a moment and switch to the odd count pattern. So for those of you working the odd count pattern, you're going to want to lay out your legend in the following order. All right, so working on our odd count pattern, we're going to just rearrange our legend so that A is still jet, but B is now going to be silver line crystal. Gunmetal's moved into the C color. D is now our Capri blue, and E is going to be our matte orange AB. And on this one, we're working an odd count design, so the setup's going to look just a little tiny bit different than how we started the other one. What we're going to do is bring on the word chart. And the word chart's showing that we're going to string 11A. And once again, I'm using a 6-pound fire line, and I'm going to leave about 10 inches of tail thread. So there's our 11A beads. Now we're going to look at row 3, because keep in mind row 1 and 2 were these 11. Now with odd count, you're going to have a different number of beads every other row. Some of those rows will have 6, and some of those rows are going to have 5. That's just kind of how odd count works. So this first row, we're going to be adding 6 color A. So you'll pick up 1 bead, skip the last bead you strung, and go through the next one. So there's 1. And same thing, you can pull that working and tail thread apart, tighten that all up. Here's 2, skip a bead, go through the next bead. So far, this is all looking familiar. Skip a bead, go through the next bead. That's adding bead number 3. And if you get anything wonky like that, try and fix it now. It's a little easier now than later. Just put it in position with your hands, kind of force it to pop into that peyote stitch position. So that was 3. Here's number 4. Skip a bead, go through the next bead. 4. Here's number 5, skip a bead, go through the next bead. Number 5. And now notice we've only got 1 bead left. And we still need to add our 6th bead for this row. So we're already on an odd count turn. And basically all the rows that have 6 beads, you're going to have the odd count turn waiting for you at the end. But then on the back passes, or the passes that are headed this way, which is to the left, they are even count rows. So here's how to do the very first odd count turn. In this case, you want to bring your needle through that last bead that you have on the strand there. So now what you'll have is your working thread exiting from not only the last down bead, but what will essentially become the next up bead on the starting side. You'll just have 2 like that, see? Hold everything and pick up another bead. This is the 6th bead indicated in row 3 on that word chart. Bring your needle back through the 2nd bead down, and then continue through this other bead over here. So basically through those 2 right there. And then hold that all in your hand and just pull to tighten. You can use that tail thread to help you out. If you hold the tail thread while you pull this through, bring your needle up through this bead, and the one your tail's coming out of. So keep in mind we're exiting out of the bead on this side. And now we're going to go through making a turn, this bead, that bead, and the one the tail is exiting. Keep all of that together, hold that tightly, and then you can use that working and tail thread apart trick again to tighten that up. So here's what you'll have. Essentially, you've added that bead, that 6th bead for row 3. He's not looking super steady at the moment, but it gets a lot better when you add the next bead. And to get into position for starting row 4, the first thing you'll want to do is step up through that bead. So just go ahead and head through it. And that completes your odd count turn. Starting row 4, we need a color B. And then we'll need 3A. So you see how that straightens everything out really nicely? Here's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. Color A. And then ending with another color B. And that completes row 4. So odd count isn't too bad. Let's do another odd count row together, and then we'll do another even count row together. But this is kind of the same thing we've been doing. We're following that word chart. It's just the only difference is that every other row is going to have that bead kind of heading that you have to add that doesn't have a up bead to go through. So you're just doing that turn we just showed you. So here's another example of that, starting at row 5. So here's color A, first bead of row 5. Then we need a color B, which is the second bead indicated for that row. 2A. Here's 1. And 2. 1B. And now what you'll do when you add this B, not only do you want to go through the next up bead, but you're going to continue through that bead as well. So you're basically going through those last 2 beads, and it'll pop in place like that. We just need to add the last bead of row 5, which is another color A. Same way, we're going to go ahead and bring our needle back through these last 2 beads here. So you're going to go through this one and the next one. You're kind of like making an X. So you go this way and then head through all 3 of these that way. So think of it as like just making a little X turn. And that puts you exiting from this bead right here. You just turn and head through that bead now. And that puts you right where you will want to be to start row 6. Row 6 starts with a B. Then we get to use our first color E, which here in this pattern is an orange, a matte orange. It's a really pretty color, by the way. It's got like a rainbow on it. Another A. Oops. Another E. And here's another B. And so that is odd count. Odd count has some advantages. It gives you a center point, makes your pattern symmetrical, which is really fun. So it's nice for repetitive patterns. Eventually, I'll tell you when I was working on this one, I started to memorize it because, actually, sorry, that's the start. They're the same actually, and beginning and ending. But here's a true representation of where it's going. By the time you get through here, you won't really even need to look at the pattern anymore because it kind of just starts to click for you. You can see it visually as you work. And so definitely know that you won't sit there have to follow the word chart the whole time unless it's, just for reference. But that is in a nutshell, odd count. So from here, work these patterns and then meet me back here at the next part of the video. And I'm going to show putting the button on the odd count design and the even count design. And we'll work with each of the button sizes and we'll make a leather loop for them. All right, so let's go ahead and finish our design. But this is a shankless button, so it's going to be we're going to need to weave through with seed beads. And so we're going to want to have a loop coming out. And that loop's going to go from here, which is right here, over the center bump, and then to the side. So it's basically going to go here to here, a little rainbow shape. So keep that in mind as you're weaving. That's where we're headed. And for me, that's going to be right over here. Now you want to be exiting from a down bead. And on this odd count design, it'll be the second down bead in. And it doesn't matter which side you start on. Start on whichever one you like. And then I'm going to be working with the gray beads just so it's visible different from my edge, especially on the other side. That'll help us out a lot. String 2, seed beads. And this button does have a side that I think is meant to be the back. So go ahead and go through the back side of the button. And then string 3 more. And go through the other side. And as you're doing this, just kind of hold the button and pull, and it'll bring it into position like that. So it's going to look like that. It's really pretty. 2 more gray beads. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the second down bead in from the other edge. So just like that. When you do that, what's going to happen is these beads will all snuggle like that, but they're not going to be totally locked in until we reinforce. So to reinforce, you want to go through all those seed beads again and watch what happens with that first one. See how it snuggles right in? It becomes kind of like a bead in between those 2 up beads. See how it did that? That's what we're going for. And if you exit through, we'll come over here. We'll do the same thing on this side. You're just going to head through the opposite direction of that down bead, and it'll secure it like that. So through these, through this one, through these other 2. Make sure you don't miss that top one. It's easy to miss it. Just want to get through those 2. Pull that down. And then you see here how the thread's coming out from this side of that bead. It's a little hard to see. Let me make sure you can see it. Hang on. There we go. So you can kind of see how it's. In order to fix that, just take your thread and go through its other side. So it's going to be just like that. And when you tighten everything up, with any luck, that will become the same sort of position as the other one. Now, a few more reinforcements will tighten all of that. But basically, the gist of it is you're going to have those sitting in between. They're acting like another bead in between those 2 up beads, just the position is a little off. So head back through. I will reinforce this entire thing a total of 4 times. So this is time number 3. When you're wearing it, it's going to sit like that against your wrist, and the leather's going to go under it. So let me weave in and trim, and then we'll put on the leather. So there's our pretty button side. All right, let's head over here. All right, so to put the leather on this side, what you're going to want to do is just take a look wherever you left off. Yours may look like this. You may have added extra rows. Either way, this is just totally going to work. So all you have to do is bring yourself to the center. So from where I am here, this is where I left off at my last row. I'd made that odd count turn. I'm going to go through the next 1, and then the next up bead, which is number 2 and 3. And 4, which is going to put me right here. That's the middle, exiting from basically the last up bead before the middle. And then you can work this with jet, but I'm just working with gray for clarity. Go ahead and put on a bead there in the middle. So you'll see it'll look like that. Pick up another gray bead go ahead and go through this gray bead and the next jet bead. So it's going to look a little weird for a second, but just stick with me. See, it's going like that. When you pull through, that bead's going to sit there. Okay. Now pick up another gray bead, and this time go through that bead, but also carry on through the one right here. So we're going to go basically through these two. Think of it as just like when we were doing before, making an X shape. Go through those two. And what do you get? You get that. Make a turn just through that gray bead. You'll get something that looks like this. Pick up a gray bead and go ahead and just go right through the next gray bead. It'll be your only up bead. So now you see we're starting to get a little jump. It'll look just like that. Pick up a gray bead and then go through those two beads there. Pick up another one and then through those two. We're just completing an X shape, see? Just like that. Just through the one now. This is single count peyote in odd. So you know how single column peyote, forgive me, we call it single column. Also makes really beautiful daisies. If you ever want to make a mega thin band with just daisies, do you see the daisy? So that's kind of just a little tidbit there, but this is an odd count single column. So there's one, right? And go through those. And then up to the next one. Just like that. Head through those last two. Finish off that other side of the X shape and stepping up through here. And then let's add one more. Now the number of rows to create for this kind of not necessarily set in stone. You can do 4 like I've done on each side. So in total of 8 rows, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keeping in mind it's odd count, so it's a little weird with counts, but this is probably plenty. And then if you have a side you like, my button seems to prefer to sit on that side, so I'm going to make the reverse side of my bracelet this side. Now, if you work this in jet, you're less likely to notice it as much. You could also match the colors with what it's going to be covering up, but honestly, I don't think it matters because I put this side on my wrist, so you don't even see it. But what we're going to do is we're going to join it now in zipper stitch. So the cool thing about if you have 4 on each side is you can go ahead and zipper stitch it right here to this point. Just makes it kind of handy to see. So you'll go through this bead here, then go through your center bead, that's your up bead, and then head through this bead here. Just like that. All right. And now reinforce all of that. So we're going to go through this one, and the next one. See how we reinforce that? And go through just that bead. Go through the up bead. Go through this one. Okay, I like to reinforce the band. So from here, I'll jump right back up into the band and I'll just go straight through these 3. Then I'll turn this way, head straight back through those 3, strengthening this entire process. If you miss one, no worry, just continue like that. From here, reinforce this spot. By coming back through that side. All right, from here, weave in as normal. It may be easier for you to get through one bead at a time, at least on this little section here. What I like to do usually is just get myself out away from the band so I don't actually accidentally sew through it. So just getting over here where I can make some good turns. And so on like that. Now attaching the leather and the button on the even count design is very similar with one exception. Your beautiful little button and the little fold over tab won't be perfectly centered. Doesn't matter at all. It still looks really, really good. And so this method will work just fine on that one if you like this method. So I'm going to pop my camera on once those are done and show you those. But I think in the case of this method that I just showed you could work for that too. It would just be a little off center. Cool thing about odd count is all that work pays off in the end because you get a center point. Okay, so the leather part. Now you basically have this. So just get your leather. And to give you a measurement, I probably have about 13 inches here. It's more than I need unless I wanted to do adjustable. So if you want adjustable, you've got it. Also, let me pick up my extra gray beads really quick. I'm going to need those for my other bracelet. And there we go. All right, so bring your leather under this little tab that we've created. And from here, you can just do a nice overhand knot. Probably the easiest way. Bring that through. Now, if you're someone who likes to do really cool things like barrel knots, that's also a great option here. You can do that. I'm going to show an easy way first. So if you're not someone who likes doing leather knotting, you can just keep it nice and simple and get a beautiful little knot just like that. Bring your design over. You still have your second button. You can always use that to measure, but I usually just go like this. And keep in mind it's got a bit of a dome, so give it some air. Let's place our second knot right here. So let's go around and bring it through. All the while I'm just pinching that position where I want that knot to be. Tighten that all the way down. When you're serious about tightening it, you pull one strand at a time. That really tightens things up. And let's just have a look. I might have made that a little too big. I can always fix that, no problem. Yeah, I think it's a little big. Let's make that smaller. So we'll just push this leather back through. Yeah, I recommend don't go too crazy tightening it until you're sure you've got a spot you'd like. So I'd like it to be and at this point, you're like, hey, I just want to put my bracelet on. There we go. I'm just being a perfectionist now with how pretty my knot is. Test it one more time, and then I'll make it tight. Yeah, that's going to be good. All right, and so you have enough leather to do a second button loop easily. And so there's that second knot. You have lots of leather left if you're just doing these kind of knots. I gave you extra in case you want to get fancy. Do barrels. Barrel knots will consume more of that length. But I'm just going to go ahead and trim and enjoy my bracelet just like that. And let me give you another little tip on measurements, showing you the pattern finished and all. So there's how it wears. Really fun, really stylish little design there. Its final measurements include the button. And if I'm measuring from about here to there. It's roughly 7 inches when you wear it. Usually that button slides right up against that first knot when it's on. And sometimes I'll measure from the very middle of the button because that's where it settles. You know how when the leather's touching it, it's settling here. So that's roughly the middle of your button. So we're going from the knot here to the middle of the button, and that's 7 inches. And that's if you just follow the pattern as it's written without adding any repeats. And then that's what I would do. I would follow the pattern, and then if I want it to be longer, I'd just button it here at the second loop, which gives you 8 inches. All right, so let's take a look at that even count design. All right, so I have the even count design done. And so to finish it up, it will look very similar to the way that I did the button attachment for this odd count design, but just a little bit different placement. So let me show you really quick how to do that on the even count version. And I am going to work with a larger button. It's kind of cool. Like you could do either really. So you can really just do whichever one you like the most. The small one looks cute, but I want to see at least one design featuring the larger buttons. So we'll use that one here, but I just wanted to share that you could probably use anything. What I'm doing on this end, let me show you really quick. So this is the side, my working side over here, and this is my tail side. I'm weaving in my tail thread and any of the little extra threads I have from when I added thread, weaving all those in now, and I'm going to weave in a new strand for when I attach my button. So go ahead and do that. All right, so I went ahead and wove in those little tails that I had, and we'll put the button on this side, but I'm thinking I'd like to do the leather side for this one first so we can arrange our button. And let me go ahead and just remove that from its header card really quick. It's so cute the way these are attached to the little cards. I really like those. And so there it is. It's so pretty. Look at that. I haven't seen the bag yet. So look at the colors, guys. Oh my God. You know, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the blue really shines on this side. So when I attach this, I think I'm going to make it so that this end with really all that beautiful blue is prominent because it'll sort of suspend like that on the edge. So it's going to look like that, right? So I'll have that end to be visible so we can peek at it. All right, so that's what I'm going to do there. Here's some more seed beads, and let's just really quick whip up one of those little ends just like we did on the first one. So really the same thing is going to happen here. It's just because it's even count, we're going to just go for a slightly different spot. And just for comparison, let me show you on this odd count design, we were able to go right for the center point here. On this one, I'm just going to go for the closest next best thing, right? So let's just go through. And honestly, I make these a lot, guys, and the fact that it's just slightly not centered because of the way it's worn and the fact that it's under the, on the wrist side, it doesn't become a prominent, noticeable thing that it's a little off-centered. So let's just head right over there. All right. So, I mean, it's not the exact center, but that's pretty darn close. So let's pick up a bead and go through the next one. All right. So now I've got that little point. Pick up another bead. Go through this one and the one right above it. Right. So make sure you don't skip it. Often I have that happen. There we go. So trying just to get through those two. Those two there. Pick up another bead. And this time head back through that middle one, right? But continue through the one below it, like that, see? Connect that, and ta-da, you've got that little, look familiar? The same we were doing on the other one, right? Picking up this one. Let's do a few more together, and then I'll zip it ahead. Pick up another one. 1, 2, and turn. See, carry on just like that. Picking up one, bringing that through, picking up another one, through two, one side done, pick up another one, through two, turn, and one more. So let's just get a quick count. Again, this count is pretty much, you can get away with a lot. Like you could even have that be that and call it good. If you want to do one more set, it'll match what we did over here. In total, starting with the gray, which makes it really easy to do our count. 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. So just go for 4 and 4, and you'll have the same thing. I think that's a nice symmetry for the leather, so that's what I'm going to do here. Again, just fold that over, and same thing before, just zipper stitch it down, just like we did there. All right, so there's the little loop done for our leather. Here's putting the button on. You're going to want to weave in a new strand. So I got one handy here. Let me go ahead and just do that really quick. So go ahead and weave until your tail doesn't move anymore when you pull on it, which mine is good. And then weave to exit from a down bead on your edge toward the center. You're not going to have an exact center, remember, because it's the even count design, but I'm going to basically be going through these two with that loop. Same way we did the odd count one. Let me just go ahead and burn this tail really quick. I'm really careful not to burn my other threads. And also, the side that you put this loop on, you want to make sure your button's going on so that it's like that. It's not too big of a deal because the button can flip. So just so you know, but if you're wanting it to have a side that's front and back, then you can try for that now. I'm going to use 4 beads. I believe 4 is going to work, but let's take a quick look. Let me show you on this other one. We had 3 on the top. The spacing is the same between the 2 buttons, so I think it's still going to be 3. And then we're going to want 4 on the bottom. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So start with the 2. And we'll go through our button. Okay. Oops, and these holes are a little bigger. Those beads are coming through them. No problem. So 1, 2, through the button. 1, 2, 3. Okay, through the other side of the button. Then 1 and 2. Keep in mind we're exiting from this one. We're going to jump over and head through this one. The down bead there. And everything's going to pull up nice and tight, just like that. So same as we did before, you're just going to reinforce this all through. Oops. There we go. Super loose the first time you make a pass through these. It gets really tight toward the end, and then getting through them is actually even a little bit maneuvering required. There's the side. One more bead to get through. Okay. And then again, just remember when you go through the down bead on this side, you want to go through the opposite side of where that thread's exiting so that it forms a complete circle. And those beads, with any luck, will sit just like this in between them. Might have to tighten everything up a little bit. But you're just kind of going for that. As you tighten it, it'll get better and better and better. So from where I am here, we'll go through all those beads again, and so on and so forth. So just keep going. Make about 3 passes, and we'll go back and look at this button loop one more time. All right, so there's our beautiful button all set on there. Isn't that going to look cute? I think it's the perfect size for this width of a band. Look how awesome that is going to look. All right, let's figure out the leather side. All right, so let's bring this leather through. And I decided, let's do a barrel knot for this one. Why not? I was going to link you guys to another video for that, but let's just put it all in one place. I'm going to do just a kind of a series of them. I want it to kind of cinch up here and then cinch up again. So I'm going to put on one barrel knot here right after the little closure. So we'll wrap one side around. I always forget which end I'm holding because they curl up so much. Okay, here we go. We'll go around. And I'm using just a cocktail straw just to help me with this barrel knot this time, just because I've been a little off my game on barrel knots lately. I don't know. Sometimes I could do them without the help of an aid, but today I feel like I need some extra assistance to get this right. So I coiled it toward the bracelet, right? And now you can just you basically bring the end you were coiling through the coils you made. And the straw just helps you get all of that right. Pull that tightly. The side that you bring through the coils is the side that will tighten the barrel knot. It won't tighten the loop up here. To tighten the loop up here, which you want to do, is pull on this other end that we left a little shorter. That's the side that's going to become the button loop itself, or one side of it. So I'm going to tighten it up to be, I don't want it too tight because I don't want it to deform my beautiful stitching. So I think that is perfect right there. So it's going to look like that when you're wearing it. What do you think? I can make it a little tighter. Just a tiny, tiny bit tighter. Yeah, that's going to be good. Okay. Same thing again. Move down. Let's bring the button over like this. And we'll just measure like that. So let's use our straw to help us put the next barrel knot here. Let's take that longer end, the longer of the two. And which way should I coil? Let's go this. I don't think it actually matters which way you start coiling. I say that and now I'm second guessing myself on that. Let's see, let's go around one. Yeah, let's go 1, 2, 3. 3 times around. And then we'll poke this through. And pull that tightly. And so there's our second barrel knot. I'd like it to be really tight. Okay, make sure all of this is good here. Yeah, that looks good. Test our button, make sure that button's fitting. Perfect. Not too loose. And there you go. So all you'll need to do next is just do something pretty with the ends. But that worked out pretty well. Cool thing about these kind of knots is until you've tightened them, you can always adjust them. But I think mine's pretty good. I'm just gonna, for me, I'm gonna trim my ends, but you can always add a little bobble to the end if you'd like to, but I'm happy with it just like that. I'm gonna try it on really quick. I'm really bad at putting bracelets on myself. And I didn't want this to be loose, so I did make that leather as tight as I could get away with. So I'm gonna have to help it get over the little button there. All right, there we go. Awesome, and that's gonna look so slick because I'm gonna wear these stacked. You know I'm gonna wear them stacked, right? Which side is my loop on? It's gonna be like that. There we go. I did this one as adjustable with just overhand knots in case you like that more. Now you've got 2 styles to look at. And get this one on. Again, I made it pretty tight. I like to make them tight. All right. This is not too much button. I don't think so. Look at that. It's pretty cool. So I'm pretty happy with these, and I hope you love the kit. And if you like them, I'll do more. Let me know. And until then, I want to wish you happy beading, and I'll see you for the next video.